It is day 3 of the Donald Trump presidency. Let's see how bad things can go on day 3 as they did on days 1 and 2. Folks, the inauguration took place on Friday. Trump gave what many call an ominous, scary speech where he talked about carnage. You name it, that's what he discussed. He also, of course, got congratulations from President Barack Obama, from former Vice President Joe Biden. Also at the speech was Hillary Clinton, who he beat, who was there, of course, with her husband, former President Bill Clinton. Trump spoke for 16 minutes, but laid out a vision that has scared our allies all across the globe.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first. Every decision on trade, on taxes, on immigration, on foreign affairs will be made to benefit American workers and American families, mothers and children trapped in poverty in our inner cities, rusted out factories scattered like tombstones across the landscape of our nation, an education system flush with cash, but which leaves our young and beautiful students deprived of all knowledge, and the crime and the gangs and the drugs that have stolen too many lives and robbed our country of so much unrealized potential. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
Yet we've still yet to hear his actual plan to make that happen. Now, as for the 44th President of the United States, he and former First Lady Michelle Obama headed off to vacation in Palm Springs, California, where they purchased a home. Before leaving, President Barack Obama thanked supporters and left them with this parting message.
And as I said in 2004, it wasn't blind optimism that drove you to do all this work. It wasn't naivete, it wasn't willful ignorance to all the challenges that America faces. It was hope in the face of difficulty, hope in the face of uncertainty. You proved the power of hope.
Now, while the crowd at the inauguration was overwhelmingly white, there were a few black folks in attendance, not necessarily Trump supporters.
Today it's one of the best days in my life. And I'm so proud and I'm proud of being here making history.
I believe that he's going to fix America, at least attempt to. You know, it's a lot of fixing to be done. But guess what? He's going to start.
And American people vote these people in. That should send them a message that something they must be doing wrong.
At the end of the day, the man is still going to be president no matter who's going over that day. If everybody's going to do something and get active in the government, he wants to do something while he's in office.
Bringing jobs back, that's the main focus. And getting people who don't belong over here, out of here.
We need the wall. We need protection. Mr. Trump, please build that wall.
He's for everybody. He's not just for one particular race. He's for everybody.
If everybody wants to rely on one man to do something, everybody's being lazy.
He says, you know, we are the same color. It doesn't matter what your skin is. We all bleed red. And this is America.
All right, let's break it down with our pal, Janae Ingram. She was head of logistics for the Women's March on Washington. Dr. Robert Muhammad, Southwest Regional Direct Student Minister for the Nation of Islam. Attorney Monique Presley, Principal of the Presley Firm. Eugene Craig, CEO of the Eugene Craig Organization. All right, folks, Trump is president. He's sworn in. We can spend some time on the inauguration, but let's deal with what we also dealt with, and that is this is a man who is utterly fixated with numbers. Small hands, the size of his money, his rally crowd size is running. Now this man spent all of the Saturday tweeting, whining, and complaining about comparisons to crowd size. Anybody with half an eye could have seen that President Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009 dwarfed his inauguration, nearly 2 million for Obama in 2009, barely 250,000 for Trump on Saturday. And Eugene, he whines. He sends the press secretary, hey, do y'all even have the Sean Spicer soundbite? Let me know so we can play it. He sends him back. Go. This is Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, whining and complaining, clearly sent out by Trump to do this. Y'all watch this.
Photographs of the inaugural proceedings were intentionally framed in a way, in one particular tweet, to minimize the enormous support that had gathered on the National Mall. This was the first time in our nation's history that floor coverings have been used to protect the grass in the mall. That had the effect of highlighting any areas where people were not standing, while in years past, the grass eliminated this visual. This was also the first time that fencing and magnetometers went as far back on the wall, preventing hundreds of thousands of people from being able to access the mall as quickly as they had in inaugurations past. Inaccurate numbers involving crowd size were also tweeted. No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. These attempts to lessen the enthusiasm of the inauguration are shameful and wrong.
I love this. There are no numbers, but then he gives numbers.
Right.
Look, National Park Service stopped putting out numbers since 1995.
After the meeting in March when they screwed up.
Yeah. They're doing their best. Donald Trump saw the discussion around it as another attempt to invalidate his presidency. I think we're now at the point of governing. I think it's time to move past it. I think it's time to move past the discussion.
But tell them to grow up.
I think Sean Spicer.
This is a grown man whining about inauguration photos.
I think Sean Spicer did his job as press secretary. He's been a great ally to Black Republicans, and I think it's time to move past the discussion.
Move past it. Tell that Janae gone.
It baffles the mind that the only thing that was true in what that man just said was when he talked about the fact that National Park Service does not count numbers. Everything else was completely made up, living in a false reality. I think it speaks to Donald Trump's own, like you said, fascination with size and the fact that he feels like this somehow invalidates his presidency. Listen, he did not gain the popular vote. We saw, and we will talk about what happened on Saturday. He is clearly out of touch with reality, and I'm glad that yesterday he somehow made his way back to where we all are.
Monique, this is a graphic ABC News provided. This was a shot of the mall on Washington, 2009 at 12:01 p.m. On the left, that's Obama. On the right, 2017, 11:59 a.m., Trump. Go.
So I don't want us to make the mistake of thinking that this man is out of touch or that he doesn't know what he is doing. This is a propaganda rollout at its finest, and it has been since the time of his inception of his campaign. They are destabilizing real media. They're destabilizing news, not real news, fake news. They're destabilizing news, and they are putting out their own message starting from the helm. His narcissism, his ego are driving everything that is done, and we are susceptible to his whims until we decide, like we did on Saturday, that we have the power, that America has the power. No, press secretary did not do his job. You know he didn't do his job. We all know he didn't do his job. When you're told to lie and you go out and do it, you have not just failed your job or your president, you failed your country, and it is completely unacceptable.
Robert?
In the art of the deal, this is his opening bid. And this is the first stage of the rocket ship to hell. Donald Trump is, this lets us know, and the world know. When he gave that inaugural speech, I don't know what he said, but I know what I heard. What I heard was a war on our youth in the cities, and what I heard was 1.5 billion Muslims with a question mark. What do you mean wiping Islamic terrorism from the face of the earth? That's an idea or an ideology. And when you talk about wiping out an ideology, you got to wipe out the people that the ideology is in their brains. So this is very concerning. And also things are going on in the Middle East moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Now Jordan and the Palestinians are getting together, and this is going to be the kind of battle that will draw the whole world in. This is a very dangerous time. We need to wake up.
To your point, obviously, when new administration comes in, they wipe all the pages, put in their new policy. Shelley, go to my iPad, please. Already, the Trump administration put up there, standing up for our law enforcement community, pretty much, and then they lied. They flat out lied. Where they said that in the nation's capital, killings have risen by 50%. That is a fundamental lie. This administration, Eugene, starts off lying. I'm not going to call it falsehoods. I'm not going to call it fudging. I don't give a damn if Kellyanne Conway goes on NBC and says alternate facts. No, they're living in an alternate reality. This is an administration that is already starting off telling the American people, we're going to lie to you repeatedly.
Look, I deal in facts, and I've dealt on facts for the last year on this show. I don't deal in alternative facts, and I agree with you there. There hasn't been a 50% increase in homicides in Washington D.C. or any major city.
In fact, there was a drop in 2016.
Exactly. There was a drop in 2016, and a drop over the last couple of years. I mean, we're trending to a much more safer society, much more safer community. So I absolutely agree with you there. I think that's something probably should be pulled off the White House website.
This is what he said, Janae. The Trump administration will be a law and order administration. President Trump will honor our men and women in uniform and will support their mission of protecting the public. Later, we're going to talk about, of course, consent decrees in Baltimore and Chicago. This president, this man has no intention on defending the rights of African Americans and others. He wants to suck up to law enforcement. He's going to take their position on nearly everything, and he is saying perfectly clear. In fact, yesterday, one of the first acts, what did he do yesterday? Salute law enforcement.
Absolutely. Well, it's very troubling. We knew that he was going to run on this platform of being a law and order law and order president. He said publicly in a debate that the policies of stop and frisk were good policies that should be implemented nationwide. So it is a very scary time because we know that that will allow for racial profiling, things that we have fought against. It is our responsibility, not just as black people, as the black community, but bipartisan in that, to protect the community.
Well, and the fact of the matter is he's positionless. Right. So it's not a question of a position that he's pushing for the sake of something that he or his administration actually believe in. They take positions that they believe will rally the base and continue to keep a base of people occupied. Kellyanne said on NBC yesterday, nobody cares about the taxes. The voters vetted it and they voted anyway, and they aren't interested in it. So what they're doing is saying...
He lied.
And
he said,
hold
on, let me throw the lie. He said, he tweeted it, after the audit is finished, I will release my taxes. She said yesterday, we're not releasing taxes. He lies again.
And then she had to back away from it, saying, of course, the audit is still going on, because she slipped and actually told the truth. But the fact of the matter is, they don't have a morality base. There's nothing driving internally that says there is a right thing that has to be done. So instead, they do whatever they can get away with, and that's the people that are surrounding him are driving that agenda.
Robert.
I just left Baltimore, and I met with those people that were on the ground that rose up after the Freddie Gray death. And I'm telling you that when the police, if he sets the police loose, not only in Baltimore, Ferguson, but Chicago really is the epicenter, because the truth of the matter is there were more murders in 74 than there were last year. So we're going to have to watch this, because these children, this generation of fearless persons we have given birth to, they're not going to stand down.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. NewsOne Now with Roland Martin, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.